the sinister plot that was in the making, that bid that has been foiled thanks to our agencies. But what exactly has been in the making all this while? Yes, this is Jaish's air attack plot that they were planning. Jaish's terror module that was planning air attacks in India. This is the first scoop that India Today has gathered as part of the larger plan of these terrorists. The Delhi module that was plotted exactly like the Hamas-style drone attacks that these terrorists were planning to execute in the national capital. In fact, in the Delhi module, what they were actually planning to execute was small rockets that they were planning to use to strike in the national capital. The fourth scoop that is coming in is that the arrested jihadi Wani, who was behind drone rocket plot. So the drones that they were trying to make, the rockets that they were trying to make to fire in the skies in the national capital, that arrested jihadi Wani was behind all of this. And the plan was to carry out serial blasts, car bombs and drone strikes in the national capital. Terrorists who were taking help of professional technical experts. That is the very reason that they were enrolling doctors, radicalizing doctors, because they had the expertise to be able to plan all this. Also, they would not come under the radar of suspicion. And that is why Rashid and Umar, who were hugely responsible, and they had been tasked with this to carry this out. Terrorists were planning Hamas-like triple-layered terror plot. So it was not just restricted to the attacks or the weaponry, but also how they were planning all this in the national capital, roping in doctors, using universities, using hospitals to procure these weapons, to store these weapons. Let me cut across to Amit Bharadwaj, joining us live from Faridabad to take us through details of the latest that is coming from the Al-Falah University, Amit, because now the net has widened, even in terms of other doctors who've now come in the radar of suspicion.
Right, Suresha, and there's a reason to it. You know, what we are seeing unfolding around Al-Falah University is also leading to that expansion of the net or radar around the doctors who could have been in touch or in link with Dr. Umar Nabi or Dr. Muzammil, the conspirators and co-conspirators of the Red Fort Plus in Delhi. Now, we have to, for our viewers' understanding, you know, I'm standing at Al-Falah University, and within 10 minutes away from here is Fatehpur Tagga village. Now, why is that village very important for our viewers' understanding? That's the very spot where Imam Ishtiaq's house was located. And in this Imam Ishtiaq's house, Dr. Muzammil had stored over 2,500 kgs of ammonium nitrate and other raw materials for preparation of the bombs. And now, just for further breaking it down, you know, it was on 10th of October in the morning, the different agencies led by Jammu and Kashmir police, they had actually seized the raw material from Imam Ishtiaq's house, which Dr. Muzammil had accumulated over a longer period of time. And after this particular crackdown, what you had is Umar Nabi ran away, and he eventually conducted a blast at Red Fort, killing 15 and many others injured. Now, just understand, it was very small portion of the raw material or the advanced material that was being prepared around this university, in the proximity of the university campus, by these white-collar terror module operatives. And that is why now there are questions being asked that if Dr. Muzammil was able to procure and store this large amount of raw material, ammonium nitrate, in a vicinity 10 minutes away,
right,
whether other people were also involved, whether other doctors were also radicalized who came into contact with these people, all of that is being investigated. Back to you.
Absolutely, Amit, and thank you for getting us all those details, because it is important to tell our viewers how they were modeling this exactly in the style that the Hamas was doing in Gaza. Yes, a Hamas-style plot that was in the making. And what they were trying to do was to convert Jammu and Kashmir hospitals into weapons stores, into weapons centers. Because again, these are hospitals and nobody would really come and raid hospitals. So in Jammu and Kashmir, key hospitals in Anantnag and Baramulla that they were trying to convert into weapons centers. Hamas-inspired attack plot by doctors module is what they were trying to replicate. These doctors who were exactly taking from how the Hamas was executing in Gaza, and that is what they wanted to do here. Hamas turned Al-Shifa hospital into weapons store. You would clearly remember this because these terrorists literally had hideouts in the Al-Shifa hospital, and later when the attack had happened, it had come to light to the amount of weapons that they had stored in Al-Shifa hospital. Now, this is exactly what these doctors were trying to do. There was a bid to turn Baramulla, Anantnag hospitals into such weapon stores, such that these hospitals would never come in the radar of suspicion. This Jaish module that was also getting technical support from Hamas. So that is something that has not just come to light, but is extremely horrifying to understand that Hamas was exactly helping them with every technicality, with every planning and execution step. Cops have raided hospitals to search for weapons. That is the reason that these searches have also intensified, and weapons were recovered from the lockers of these doctors, which is why more and more doctors at the Al-Falah University who are now under the scanner, because weapons that have also been recovered from their lockers. Now, what exactly is Jaish's terror module? It was in 2021 when Muzammil had contacted Imam on WhatsApp that had put forth several names of top JEM commanders, Ghazi Khalid, Mansoor and Hashim Imam, who were influenced by the Jaish-e-Mohammed, not just in terms of ideology, but how they were radicalized, and they had desire to join the organization. Muzammil then introduced Imam to the other module members. So it was Dr. Muzammil who had contacted Imam Irfan. Now, while that happened in 2021, in 2022 they took the next step where they formed the Ago Circle. This was a circle of doctors that was formed by Dr. Muzammil, who had introduced Imam to Dr. Adil Rathar and bomber Umar Nabi. This group that wanted to establish a local Kashmiri terrorist organization and primarily involved doctors, such that again there would be no suspicion, plus doctors would be able to provide all the technical help, they would be able to help with the execution, and even when it came to procuring chemicals and toxic material, that doctors would be able to do in a white collared manner. Now, all of this coming in from sources. My colleague Amit Bhardwaj, who sent us this report just a short while ago, do take a look.
The day when Red Fort terror attack happened, that very morning, multi-state police forces and agencies, including the Jammu Kashmir police, had actually reached this particular village, Fatehpur Tagga, which is near to Dhauj, near to the Al-Falah University, barely 10 minutes away from the Al-Falah University. And in that multi-agency crackdown, what had happened is that this particular house of Imam Istiaq was zeroed down. And remember, it was another doctor from the associated with the Al-Falah University who was already arrested, and those links led the agencies to this particular house. First, we'll get you the visuals to give you an understanding as to how this entire operation was conducted by this white collar terror module, so that nobody else gets an idea of possibly what could have been happening around them. And Muzammil, Dr. Muzammil is the person who had taken this particular house on rent from Imam Istiaq, who was later on detained by the agencies. So you could look at the structure of the house. Nobody is going to have a doubt that such kind of terror operations, raw material is being accumulated in this particular room, which was full with fertilizers. So on one screen you will see the visuals of those fertilizer packets and bags and sacks kept in this particular room. And in this particular room there was more than 2,500 kgs of ammonium nitrate, fertilizer and other raw materials which could have been actually used by the terror, this white collar terror module, to conduct several blasts like Red Fort blast that happened, that shook the country and took lives of 15 innocent civilians in Delhi at Red Fort. And just look at this particular sack. This is one of the sacks that in the video which has been now accessed by India Today as well. This room is full with sacks of this sort, and among those sacks are the sacks and the storage bags of ammonium nitrate, other raw material, in order to create, this particular raw material would have been used by these terrorists, white-collar terror module that was cracked down, and it was these people like terrorists like Dr. Muzammil were actually zeroed down by the agencies, and it was on 10th of October when the recovery was done. That very day, Dr. Umar Nabi, the person who was also creating video content in order to radicalize the youth for suicide bombing, he conducted Red Fort terror attack, and at this very spot, which this particular house was taken on rent by the co-conspirator of the Red Fort terror attack, Dr. Muzammil. He was arrested by the agencies. The recovery was done from this particular room where ammonium nitrate and other raw material in order to create bomb of advanced stage was being stored here for the longest time. With video journalist Emmanuel, this is Amit Bhardwaj reporting for India Today from Faridabad.